What up, do everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Daily Upside. I'm your host, Keenan Rivals, bringing you sports and sports cards news every day. Today, we have a pretty interesting episode. We got a lot of cards to look at, a lot of movement in the market. But before we jump into that, I want to remind everybody to shoot me a follow on Twitter. If you're new here, Twitter is where I kind of post most of my content. It's where you're going to get a lot of up to date info. I kind of tweet about basketball games, the market, and I've been sharing some really interesting, plays recently. A lot of us talked about this collectibles, fractional investing, which I'll get into later, but kind of shared that with you guys. Hopefully you got in. And yeah, there's a lot of good information on there. Also, shoot me a follow on Instagram. Been posting there a lot more as well, showing you guys some plays. We posted this Jrue Holiday card yesterday and it did pretty well. We'll also talk about that. But yeah, every follow means a lot to me, guys. I greatly appreciate it. And I love engaging with you all. Jumping into today's content, we got some NBA news. The Athletic posted their 2020-21 milestones to watch. I thought this was pretty interesting because I don't really think about milestones too much, but when you really, kind of look at them, you can understand as an investor how this might make sense to pay attention to. A lot of these NBA players are getting older, they're a lot more seasoned, and they're close to breaking a lot of records. I mean, LeBron has so many records that he's going to be breaking soon. Look at this long list. We got Giannis, who might actually be a three-time MVP, which he'd be the first player since like the 1980s to do that. And he joined like some really, really great company, Bill Russell, Wilt Chamberlain, Larry Bird. And, if Giannis can win three times, that would kind of be our Mount Rushmore for three-time MVPs, in terms of, them winning them consecutively. We also got some news on Luka. If he actually wins the MVP, which most people think he will, he'll be the youngest MVP ever. So he'll be surpassing Derrick Rose by like 120 days or something like that. So, that's obviously going to be some hell of a milestone. And if that happens, who knows how high Luka's cards can go. So yeah, I'll link this for you guys to kind of look into. There's just a lot of, potential milestones that are going to happen. Stephen Curry, Kevin Durant, this could push the prices of cards up. Whenever your guy is in the media, he has a higher chance to, get a little more exposure. And with more exposure comes higher card prices. So as investors, we need to know these things. These are like holidays. You know what I'm saying? If Steph Curry like breaks the record, which he'll probably do within like game one or game two, or not break the record. If he becomes the third player to hit 2,500 3-pointers, that might get a lot of buzz. And, you need to make sure like, your cards are listed, they're ready to go. Or if you're a buyer, you need to make sure that you're ready to start buying that day because you'll likely see a lot of rare cards listed. So yeah, that I'll point this out. Again, I'll leave the article in the description. I'm not sure if you have to pay to read this. I have a subscription with the Athletic, so I don't know what's behind the paywall and what's not. But I think it's like $1 a month, so it's definitely worth it. In other news, the Athletic also kind of launched their NBA season picks. So this is their predictions for the 2021 season. I'm never going to be able to say that. The 2020-21 season, they talk about the MVP, who they have coming in. So like everybody else, the Athletic has Luka winning, and they have him winning by a large stretch. Most people voted for Luka. Damian Lillard also got some votes. LeBron, AD, Giannis, Kevin Durant, still getting votes, even though we've seen him play like two games. And Jokic and Stephen Curry kind of rounded that out. They talked about the Defensive Player of the Year, which they have AD winning, Montrezl Harrell winning that Sixth Man of the Year, and Michael Porter Jr. winning Most Improved Player. So hopefully that does happen because I know a lot of us still have some MPJ cards. So we love to see that. I also thought it was pretty interesting. They had OG Anunoby down there as well as Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. So everyone's expecting them to have some pretty big seasons on him, especially after that contract he got. They were giving out contracts left and right yesterday. So yeah, I'll also link this down below. If you guys kind of want to read and see all the predictions, they go into like so much more, like who's going to win the Western Conference, who's going to win the Eastern Conference. Like they kind of predict everything. So that's going to be really exciting to read as an investor. Getting into some sports cards news, we had several auctions that ended last night that I want to talk about. The first being the Bowman Blue of Stephen Curry, his 2009 2010 rookie. This one's serial number to 1948, and it was graded a BGS 9.5. It sold for $1,575. And I thought that was pretty low for this card. I visioned Stephen Curry cards being worth a lot more. He doesn't have that many cards, and they're extremely limited. And when I say he doesn't have that many cards, he has a lot, but they're not like cards that we like. You know what I mean? He doesn't have it. It was kind of like early Panini days. they were still kind of figuring out their designs. So when it comes to like tops and tops chrome and things like that, he has a very limited quantity. And I thought this was a steal. It does have a soft corner. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can kind of see that ding in the corner there. Um, it got a 9 on the corners, but still, I think this is relatively cheap for Stephen Curry. If you use the market cap method, these cards are extremely undervalued. So if you're in the market for a Steph Curry, you might want to look at these because they're still kind of a play. I plan on taking one of these auctions and trying to use it to my advantage and buy some Stephen Curry cards because if this is going 15.75, then I'm a buyer all day at that price point. So if you're selling one, hit me up because I think he's going to be a huge play. Another auction ended last night. It was a 96-97 Topps Chrome Refractor of Allen Iverson. This went for an all-time high. We're starting to see some vintage cards pop back up here and there. A lot of people aren't in love with like the base plays. Like no one's really reporting on Topps Chrome or like just Upper Deck or anything like that. But when it comes to like these refractors and rare inserts, we're starting to see some of these older guys go for a pretty penny. For me, it's a little risky because I don't tend to like invest in nostalgia. Like it's not like there's no peg to these guys. So it's not like if I buy Allen Iverson card, I can say Allen Iverson put up 45 points last night and then his cards go up. They're kind of just going up based on collectors. And I don't tend to invest like that, but I'm starting to understand it a little more. I'm starting to understand why somebody would want this card and why they would pay this much money for this card. But it's still not as what's the word I'm looking for? It's hard to project. I can say that. So yeah, reached an all-time high, super limited card. If you have a guy that you like, it might be worth going back and picking up some of his older stuff. But if you do so, definitely go with the rare cards. The one thing I noticed about this one that it doesn't have as much greening. You can see a little bit of it, but it's more of a refractor than it is a green card. So that could be why it went so high. But yeah, I mean, we've seen some Michael Jordan cards hit an all-time high, some Kobe's. I think yesterday Dirk Nowitzki's SP Authentic hit an all-time high. So a lot of these older serial numbered and rare cards are starting to hit that peak. So we'll see how that continues to play out. I got a few guys that I like that I'll talk to you guys about later down the road, but I'm still watching the market to see how it goes because we've seen this happen before and then we've seen it fall off. So I don't want to be a part of the fall off. In other news, a 2003-2004 Fleer EX of LeBron sold for another all-time high, $13,000. This card is now reaching like Topps Chrome status. It's getting up there with the Topps Chrome card. I believe it's way more limited. EX is obviously an iconic set, but one thing I don't like about this card is that he's in his practice jersey. And when it came to the Topps pristine LeBron, people were complaining about how ugly it was because it was in his practice jersey. Yet this one's going for all-time highs. So I think it's a beautiful card. I love like these clear cards. I've talked about that before, but I still think the Topps pristine of LeBron is underrated. That's one of the cards that I plan to pick up pretty soon if I can find a one in the condition that I like. So just putting that out there for you guys because I like to give you free plays. Another card ended yesterday of one of the GOATs, and that was of Kevin Durant. People are buying up his 2006 Topps McDonald's card, the All American. I honestly don't understand this. I'm not a fan of this card. I don't see the appeal. If we're buying these cards, then we might as well start buying Prizm Collegiate or Giannis's Fleer Retro, rookie. Like I don't get why this one's being talked about so much. It's not a super high amount of money because it is Kevin Durant. I think his Topps 112 is like $3,000 or $4,000. So this one, at a fourth of the price point, is a solid deal, I guess. But I just don't love this play at all. I don't understand it. I don't see why you would buy this card over his 1957 Topps. I'm actually thinking about grabbing one of these. I think it's super underrated. It's only $500. There's only 223 of them. It's vintage. It's paying homage to a older set. I just don't see how this one is worth more than this one. So might pick one of these up, put my money where my mouth is. But I think long term, this 1957 variation is going to play out to be a better investment than this Topps McDonald's. But we'll see how that goes. Now, whenever I'm looking at cards, what I try to do is keep up with the market and just kind of see what the overall market sentiment is. And the best way for me to do that is to look at Luka's cards. Now, I don't know if you guys have been paying attention, but it's 2018-19 Prizm rookie. is now a $2,000 card. So it's shooting back up towards those all times high. We're at $2,125 for this cards. I think that's absolutely insane for this Luca card. There's so many of these on the market. I'm not saying it's oversaturated or it's a junk card or anything of that nature, but I am saying for this price point, that's pretty high compared to the rest of the market. Like if you bought the market cap method, you'll understand what I'm talking about. We talked about how this card is potentially overvalued compared to some other cards that are just not up there in terms of price. This card being $2,000 puts it at about a $20 million market cap, if not more, and that's one of the highest market caps of any cards. And if Luca turns out to be all time, maybe it makes sense. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and say it's overvalued. I'm not saying anybody should panic sell. I'm not saying that it won't go up in price because we are trading on price right now. But I think once the market becomes a little more educated, we'll look at this card and see that either A, it's overvalued, or B, a lot of people are severely undervalued. So always interested to see how that's going to play out. If Luka wins MVP, it has no choice but to push up. If Luka looks like he's going to win MVP, it has no choice but to push up. So again, not saying panic sale. I'm just saying if the higher this card goes, the higher every other card has potential to go up. A good example of that is Trae Young. He's took a considerable dip. His last PSA 10 Prizm ended for $585. It was kind of at that $700 price point. And, he didn't play that well. We're not going to act like he went out there and balled out and he looked fantastic. He didn't play that well, nor did he look that great. So, he has he obviously has to get more comfortable with his team and his jump shot. I don't think it's gone. I think that's just, if you're a volume shooter, that's just what happens. So, might be a good opportunity to buy some Trae Young, especially if Luka continues to trend. The wider that gap gets, the more desirable Trae Young cards become to me. But of course, he's going to have to perform in order to close the gap. Moving on from eBay, I want to talk about StarStock. We've seen a few cards go up over here. Bowl is kind of going for some all time high. I mean, today we saw one sell for 31, and now they're going for 40. I mean, they're just going up. I think Bobo is great talent. I think this is too much for his card. I really do. I don't see why we're paying $40 for Bobo rookies. If it turns out, if he pans out, fantastic. But I mean, I just don't understand. Their starting player is not hitting this price point. Jaren Jackson Jr., Cam Reddish, um, I don't know, Darius Garland. So seems a bit premature, but thought I would report that because we've seen a big jump from 31 to 40 in the matter of hours. Another card we saw a jump in price was Kobe White's. I talked about Kobe White a few times in a newsletter. He's now moving upwards. He was, kind of trending in at that $60, $70 price point, and now he's going for 85, consistently. I'm not justifying this one either, but I do think Kobe White's going to have an amazing season. The bar is set high for him though. Like he has to perform right out of the gate. If he struggles, I see his cards dipping and I see it as a buying opportunity. So I probably put some offers in now. If you're high on Kobe White, he's going to struggle. There's going to be some games that he does not look good because he's in an entire new role this year. So I'm probably going to put a few offers in at Kobe White, hoping that people panic sell. I think that's a really good play with StarStock, not to always just buy on impulse, but to have some offers in, have some offers for $50 or $60. There's going to be a few guys who just want to get out of plays. I know, I'm a good example of that. I have OCD, and sometimes I'll just sell some cards just to kind of start over. So definitely put those offers in. I expect Kobe to come out the gate not guns blazing. I expect him to be an extremely streaky player the first half of the season. And I think that's going to bode well for us as investors because his prices are going to be volatile. And what you want to do is be on the receiving end of that, not the other end. So, don't always buy into the hype if he has a good game. Buy into the hype when he has a bad game because we know that the good game is going to come. One of the cards that I'm actually looking at are the mosaic cards. They've been kind of going up and down. The market sentiment on them is, kind of confused. Some people favor them, some people don't. I think any Chrome card is a play. I think as, Prizm base cards become 40, 60, 80, and $100 on StarStock, you're not going to have a choice but to start buying these mosaic cards. They're way too cheap. They look just as good and if not better, depending on, who's looking at them. So I think these are a play. I don't know at what price point with Kobe White just yet. I was kind of suggesting them around that, 13, 14 price point. And now we've kind of seen them trend it to about, 15, 18. So yeah, we've seen these shoot up quite a bit, probably because I've been talking about them a lot. And I think some of the other, players might be some good potential buys as well. Darius Garland, if you're into Keldon Johnson or Bobo, they could be potential plays as well. Cam Reddish. So I'm really liking Mosaic as a potential, investment because everything else is just so much money. Another really good thing you guys might want to do on StarStock if you're just not signing up is to pay attention to the emerging 30. So these are like the top guys who have some really nice liquidity on the platform. And we can kind of see for the most part, everybody's up. If you look at the December 21st, everybody's pretty much in green. There's a few guys, De'Aaron Fox, who are in red on a week to week basis. But if you compare their price points from October to December, I mean, everybody's like doubled in value. So, hopefully you guys got in. There's not a lot of great value left. I mean, Kyle Kuzma was $3 and now he's 24. Like that is absolutely insane. So, Cam Reddish might be a play. We've seen that he hasn't really changed too much from week to week. It says December 21st. Oh, never mind. He's pretty high. So yeah, not a lot of buying opportunity here if you guys didn't get in. I wish I would have got in at some of these price points. We're all kind of buying at the top right now. And that's something you got to think about. For me, I've been exiting a few positions just to kind of wait and see who plays and who doesn't play. If Michael Porter Jr. gets benched, then I expect his cars to go down. If Tyler Hero doesn't come out guns blazing, then I expect his cars to go down. I think players have a lot more downside than they do upside just because there's so many high expectations. So I haven't been buying as much this week because I'm hoping some of these players do bad. I know that sounds horrible, but all 30 of these guys can't come out and be like hot. So some of them are going to dip. I'm going to be paying attention to who dips and I'm going to be buying the dips. So that's kind of my advice. One play we did talk about that I thought was pretty smart was this Jrue Holiday play. I put that in the newsletter yesterday. We've seen the card obviously went up since that because it just made a lot of sense. If we're buying Bowl and all these other players at $40, $50, how do we have a high quality 2009, 2010 tops rookie going for so cheap of a potential, all-star or a previous all-star? So was really excited to see that this card went up in price point because it just made sense for it to go up in price point. Jrue Holiday is going to be starting alongside Giannis. He's going to be in the playoffs and he might ball out. So we'll see how this continues to go higher. I actually had it, selling for like $32. That was in my projected target price for it. So I think there's still some room to grow on this one. And it's just not every day you're going to find this type of card on this platform because most of them are in awful condition or graded already. Last but not least, we did see collectibles sell out yesterday. We talked about that. So I wanted to give you guys a recap. Again, fractional investing might be a play. They kind of dropped the ball on this one, though, in my opinion. There was way too many people interested. As this guy said, the share cap was too low on this one. You were only able to put $50 in, and I don't think that's really worth it for a lot of people. I felt like this was a play to get people to sign up and be a part of the app. Like, hey, let's just offer this car for cheap. I know that's probably not true, but that's just kind of how I feel. Like this was more so let's get some guys in here. Let's get some guys on board. Let's offer this car at a really cheap price point. Once people are on board, we can kind of go back to, offering some cards of, in some bigger plays. So I got 5 shares. I know a lot of guys in the Discord got 5 shares. I'm sure a lot of you got 5 shares, but obviously with fractional investing, if we're only going to be able to get 5 shares, then, what are the profits really going to be like? You know what I mean? So I definitely want to see them kind of allow the share cap to be a bit higher, or at least, allow the amount we can buy to be a bit higher initially. Only being able to get 5 shares and then selling out doesn't really bode well for us because if it doubles in price point, I mean, and I make, $30, then that's not a lot of fun. So hopefully they can kind of, figure that out. It was a low price card though. So maybe that's the reason as well. But yeah, for those of you who got in, congrats. I think it's a great play. I think we're obviously going to profit on this one. And if Kevin Durant kills it, it could be a big gain for us because this could be a huge card. We've seen Allen Iverson, go for 25,000. I have no doubt in my mind that if Kevin Durant balls out, that he can't get to that price point. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this one, guys. Today we have some NBA finally happening. It is the official start of the season. So I'm really excited to see, these guys kind of play. I really wished we could have got some more games on opening night, but I understand, how important it is to get the big guns out there, get the TV networks excited. And it's just gonna feel good to sit down and watch basketball again. So if you guys haven't done so already, definitely check out the highupsideshow.com. Sign up for the newsletter so you can kind of get all these plays in your inbox every day. I send out daily upside to you guys. I send out, morning bins where I suggest some cards that I think you might want to look at. And it's just going to be a lot of fun now that we actually have basketball back. So yeah, I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Happy investing.